we are known as a college access center. So we try to support students, parents, guardians, families with anything college prep related, and also with career readiness support. So we are completely free service. We are with the city of Tempe. Our office is located at the Tempe Public Library there on Southern and Rural. And we offer in-person advising as well as virtual. So if you aren't close by, you can connect with us virtually. And I'll try to make sure we drop our website in the chat as well. And if you want to make an appointment with us, you can go to our website to the advising section, and you can book an appointment with us. So advising is what we primarily provide, all types of services. I only laid out just a few there, but the main ones that we tend to talk about are financial aid and FAFSA, which is coming around the corner, helping you with anything scholarship related, assisting you with the college admissions process, career exploration, and readiness. And we partner with all the college reps here in the in-state and the universities, the community colleges. So the people that you see here today, they are our partners. So we help connect you with the resources and the right people that you need help with when you're starting to explore or go further into a specific university or college. Last but not least, we have some scholarship opportunities. So again, I mentioned if you participate in College Connect workshop, and if you also participate in any kind of advising. So if you met with an advisor once, you'll also be entered that time into the drawing. So as many times as you participate with College Connect will be as many times as your name will be entered. But I encourage you all to check out our website because we have more scholarship information on there, as well as information regarding FAFSA and paying for college. And I want to wrap up this segment of College Connect with actually introducing you to one of our very own College Connect reps. I'm going to try to get his screen shared right over here. His name is Roger Lurie. And I think it's always nice when you can, again, put a face to a person here. So let's see here, Roger. I'm going to share your screen in 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight. I've been a College Connect advisor, a volunteer with College Connect now for about 4.5 years. And I specifically serve students at Tempe High School. So if you're a Tempe High student, I'm there every Thursday and Friday through lunch hour and buff block, and also available by appointment. I don't know, Adrian, if you're going to share my email as well, but just finished a wave of helping students at Tempe High School with scholarship essays, people applying to QuestBridge and doing the Common App and Flynn scholarship application, getting ready to start opening up FAFSA on October 1st, just the day after tomorrow. Be a lot of excitement and a lot of work to do with students around that, and really happy to work with students on anything, whether you're planning to go to college or trade school, career exploration, resume writing, finding scholarships, finding other financial aid resources, all sorts of things like that. So pleased to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Roger. And I'm putting your email in the Q&A section for everybody to see there. So it's let's see here, Roger. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Roger. Now I'm gonna hand it over to our first presenter of the evening, which is Amy Bettersworth from NAU, who's going to start off with talking about general university admissions information here. So, Amy, you're welcome to share your screen.
Perfect. Thanks, Adrian. Let me just get it pulled up here. One moment. All right. Does everything look okay there?
Yep, we are getting you on there, and you are good to go.
Thank you, Adrian. Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Bettersworth. I'm a student recruitment coordinator with NAU. I'll introduce myself a little bit further in a moment. But for right now, myself and my wonderful colleague at U of Arizona, Patrick Emmons, want to just take a moment to talk a little bit about the application and admissions requirement process for all three of our public state universities in Arizona, so ASU, NAU, and U of A. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started and talk about that. So Admissions 101, what you need to know. We're going to talk briefly for the next few minutes about where to apply, why it's important to self-report your information and what that means, what is needed to apply, different admissions requirements, and then we can cover some questions if they do arise there in the chat. So first off, when you get ready to apply to any of our public universities in Arizona, our links are very straightforward. You can find them on the screen here, but it's pretty much our just general links. So for example, asu.edu/apply, arizona.edu/apply, or nau.edu/apply. Those links will get you to our applications themselves. And then that whole process takes about, depending on where you're applying, about 30 to 45 minutes or so to get our applications submitted. So it's very straightforward. We help streamline that process for you. We're going to keep chatting a little bit further about it here too. Our applications did also open up back in July for students looking to join us for the fall of 2022. So those are available. We encourage that you apply early. It just means that you're going to make the most informed decisions for yourself in that process there. So when you get into our applications, there's something that we encourage called self-reporting. So self-reporting means sitting down and actually putting in all of the letter grades and courses that you've completed throughout high school through the end of your junior year, those letter grades, and then what you're in progress with for senior year. So there are some benefits to self-reporting. This is why we include it in our application processes. And one is that it's an expedited admission decision. So admission decisions usually come back a little bit quicker when you self-report that information. I know, speaking on behalf of NAU, it's usually a 2-week turnaround time to get an admission decision. I'll let Patrick correct that if it's a little bit different for U of A at all there, but it does provide that quicker decision there, and in turn provides quicker consideration for our merit-based scholarships, which we'll cover later on in the presentation. And so getting those in early just, again, makes that most informed decision for yourself there, and self-reporting really does help in that process. It also means that you don't need to request transcripts from your school when you apply. If in the event we need a transcript to make an admission decision, there's been an error with the self-reported information, we will communicate that to you and let you know to make sure we can make a timely admission decision from that point there. So what will you need to complete your application, to walk through that self-reported process? You'll need a few things. I'm going to cover the first portion here, but first off is sitting down with your transcripts and reporting your grades. So like I mentioned, you're going to report your letter grades and courses that you've completed through your junior year of high school, and then what you're in progress with for your senior year. So you want to make sure you're reporting everything accurately. So it's always good to go ahead, access your unofficial transcript, whether that's available to you in Naviance, your Student View account, Infinite Campus account, whatever it is that your school might use there. But sit down with a copy of that unofficial transcript and then what you're in progress with for senior year. So you should have access to your course schedule. Maybe you know your course schedule, but just make sure you're mindful of all of those documents there in order to accurately self-report your information into our applications. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Patrick to talk a little bit more about our self-reported information here.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Good evening, everyone. Like Amy mentioned, my name is Patrick Emmons. I'm the Assistant Director of Undergraduate Recruitment for the University of Arizona. I'm based over in the East Valley, and I oversee our team of admissions counselors that go out into the high schools across Maricopa County and Northern Arizona. And so as Amy continued, as with all of our applications, some other really important information you're going to want to know when you start our applications. It may seem a little bit self-explanatory, but you'd be surprised how many students sometimes don't come prepared. So you want to make sure that you have, when you're filling out our applications, your legal name. So my legal name is Patrick Emmons. I would make sure to then write in my application Patrick Emmons, not my nickname. I wouldn't go by what my boys call me on the golf course, but my legal name. So Patrick Emmons. Your address, that is your primary residence, and then your social security number. If you do not know your social security number, you'll want to make sure to connect with your parent or guardian to make sure you have that available. If you do not have a social security number, that is okay. You can still absolutely submit an application, but you'll want to connect with your admissions counselors at each university to see what they would best recommend for submitting a social security number when you do not have one. Next up, you will want to pay the application fee or request an application fee waiver, which all 3 of our universities will gladly give your way. And then you'll also want to make sure to have, like I mentioned, your parent or guardian around so they can help provide you with their legal name, their email, and phone number. Now, when we're looking at the application, here is what we're looking for. So Amy talked a little bit about self-reporting. Now, when you self-report, you're not going to report every class you've ever taken in your high school career, because we don't need every class. But what we are going to want to see are what we call the Sweet 16 or your 16 core courses. So you're going to want to input every year from freshman year up until your courses in progress right now, your junior year, of your English, your math, your lab science, your social science, and one of those years does have to be US or American history, 2 years of second language, and then we want to see a year of fine arts or CTE. So this is really important because we are going to make your admissions decision based off of your unweighted 6th semester core GPA. So your unweighted grades from your freshman year through your junior year in these core courses. And as you see on the bullet point below, test scores are optional. So if you did not take the SAT or the ACT, you do not have to feel the pressure to take it and then send it our way. However, if you did take them, you can send them our way, and each university will utilize it in a different way. So make sure to connect with your university. So next up, admissions criteria. So what does it take to be offered admissions? So you will be offered admission if you have a 3.0 or higher in that core unweighted GPA, and then you have no deficiencies in any of your coursework. And we'll get to what a deficiency is in just a minute, but if you don't hit that mark, that's okay. You will be also considered for admission, and this is for NAU and the University of Arizona. If you have a 2.5 core GPA, no more than 1 deficiency in any 2 areas, and then no deficiencies in both math and lab science. And again, for admissions criteria, test scores are not required, but you can send them our way. Now, what is a deficiency? So a deficiency in the Sweet 16 core courses can be one of a few things. One is if you did not take a full year of one of those 16 courses. So maybe you only took 3 years of English instead of 4. A deficiency can also be if you receive an F in one of those core 16 courses and do not retake that course, or if your GPA in any subject area drops below a 2.0. Okay, so that's very important to know. That's what a deficiency is. As you can see, you can potentially fix those deficiencies with retaking courses. And with that, that's the application in a nutshell. As you can see here, all of our universities share very similar links to how you can go about applying to our universities. For ASU, you can go to asu.edu/apply. You can visit their virtual campus tours at visit.asu.edu. And the contact information for the ASU rep is Jacob, who is unfortunately not with us today, but we do have his email address. For NAU, very similar, nau.edu/apply. You can do their virtual campus visit at nau.edu/virtual, and your NAU rep, as you've already seen her and are going to hear from her again right after this, is Amy with her information there. And for the University of Arizona, you can find our application at arizona.edu/apply. You can do a virtual campus visit at arizona.edu/visit. And then your University of Arizona representative, who unfortunately could not be here today because he's out of the office on vacation, is the wonderful Kyle Fisher, and you have his email address there. And so with that, I will turn it back over to Amy to talk a little bit more about ASU in Jacob's absence, and then NAU as well.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Wonderful. So again, my name is Amy Bettersworth. I am your student recruitment coordinator at Northern Arizona University. On this slide here, you can find my contact information. My phone number is 928-523-6141. It looks a little strange on my screen. Hopefully it looks okay on yours there. However, please reach out to me, jot this down, take a picture. I'll be your go-to person for all things NAU this year, and I'm more than happy to assist as you navigate this whole college process. It's an exciting journey. As I begin, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the land where NAU is located in order to give respects to our native peoples of Northern Arizona. And so this land acknowledgement was written under the guidance of our native faculty and staff at NAU, and it states that Northern Arizona University sits at the base of the San Francisco Peaks on homeland sacred to Native Americans throughout the region. We honor their past, present, and future generations who have lived here for millennia and will forever call this place home. So thank you. Now, a little about Flagstaff. I'm not sure if you all have been to Flagstaff before or not. However, it's about a 2.5 hour drive north of Tempe, a straight shot up the I-17. As you're trekking up to Flagstaff, you do gain quite a bit of elevation. So we're at an elevation of about 7,000 feet above sea level. Due to this, we do experience all 4 seasons. So we get about 100 inches of snowfall on average every year. We've already had half of that fall this year, so I'm curious what the second half of the year will hold. We are tied for the top 9th sunniest city in the U.S., getting about 264 days of sunshine on average. And then we are the only major city in Northern Arizona to never reach a day over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So a great place to come and escape the heat from those summer months down here in the valley. We're also named the world's first international dark sky city. And so what that means is our lights across town are going to be more angled towards the ground, more amber lighting, and just really helping you minimize that light pollution to really see that beautiful night sky. So if you've been to Flagstaff on a clear night, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. On the screen, you can see our downtown Flagstaff area. This is going to house about 75 different local cafes and restaurants. It's about a 10 to 15 minute walk from our north part of campus. So a great space to head to get off campus a little bit, grab a bite to eat, visit a coffee shop, and just enjoy what Flagstaff's downtown area has to offer. Looking a little bit more closely at our campus, NAU was founded in 1899. We were founded as the Northern Arizona Normal School with about 23 students. We have grown tremendously since then. Our campus has roughly 21,500 students that attend our main Flagstaff campus now. We are the smallest state school in Arizona, but we're considered a mid-sized university when we're looking more nationally across the U.S. there. As you might expect, majority of our students are going to come from the state of Arizona. However, just under 35% of our students come from all over the place. So we have students from all 50 states on our campus and over 70 different countries, which really creates a vibrant, diverse campus life for our students to enjoy. One of the quintessential parts of heading off to college is having an opportunity to live on campus. We are completely optional for whether or not you wish to live on campus. It's not a requirement at all, freshman through senior year. However, just under 90% of our incoming first-year students choose to live on campus that first year, and it is something that we highly recommend. Many studies across many colleges have shown that students who live on campus tend to have higher GPAs, tend to graduate within 4 years, and tend to report better overall satisfaction within their collegiate career. So something I think that it would be worth considering for you to just even help you get a little bit more acclimated to campus life there. We are based on a residential college model, which means that you live with students who fall in a similar academic college as you. And I'll talk a little bit more about academic colleges in a moment. And we also have gender inclusive housing options available too. So for our students who are transgender, gender variant, or questioning, these are great micro communities within each residence hall to ensure an extra sense of safety and belonging across our campus. Of course, we want to make sure you're well fed while on campus. We have about 27 dining facilities total. 2 are all you care to eat locations that are set up buffet style, and then 25 are on-campus retail locations. So places like Starbucks, Jamba Juice, Pizza Hut, Chick-fil-A, Qdoba, the list goes on and on from there. If you live on campus that first year, you are required to have a meal plan, and then you can choose whichever meal plan works best for you, depending on the type of eater that you are. We also have a nutritionist on campus who will work with you depending on your dietary needs, and you'll find that nearly everything across campus is labeled too, whether vegan, vegetarian, dairy-free, gluten-free, nut-free, whatever the case might be there to best assist meeting your needs. No matter where you go to school, I highly recommend taking the time to get involved. I think it just really shapes your values, your interests, your passions. It's what led me to a career in student affairs, being able to present to you all here tonight as I learned what was available on campus and what careers were out there. We do have clubs and organizations that range from interest-based to academic-based to religious-based. We have over 400 of them, so there are no shortage of ways to get involved. Our Lumberjack activity board is fantastic to connect with. We call it Lab LAB for short. They're constantly hosting free movie nights on campus, in our Proc Now Theater where you can usually get free concessions, different events, whether that's roller rave, paint like Bob Ross nights, bingo nights, you name it, there's always something going on at NAU. We also have our Health and Learning Center, which is where you can stay a little bit more active, engage in different fitness classes, our rock climbing wall, our beautiful gym facility, or get involved in intramural sports or club sports as you would like to. And club sports are going to be more competitive in nature. You do try out for them, but they are a little bit different than what our NCAA D1 sports offer here. So we are an NCAA D1 school. We have 15 teams. We are part of both the Big Sky Conference and the Western Athletic Conference. You can see all the teams on the slide there. However, in particular, our men's cross country team has done phenomenal over the last years, becoming 4-time national champions over the last 5 years. And then our women's swimming and diving team becoming 8-time defending champions within the Western Athletic Conference. All of our home games are free for you to attend as a student. And so you just show your Jax card at the entrance to the game itself there, get dressed up in your blue and gold, and cheer on your fellow Lumberjacks in that student section. Of course, you're heading off to college to have an opportunity to get your bachelor's degree and further your academics. There's a lot of numbers on this slide here. They might be covered up a little bit there, but I'll cover them for you. What I really want to hone in on is the fact that our average class size is 37 students. And so we know the inherent value of keeping our class sizes small. We know what that can mean for students to not just feel like a face within the classroom, but actually have a name affiliated. You get to know your faculty members, you get to know your peers a little bit more. And so that's something to think about when you're deciding on a good fit for you. Do you thrive in a larger lecture hall? Do you thrive in a smaller classroom size? Each student has different styles of learning to pay attention to there. We do have 9 different academic colleges. 7 of those are going to be where our true 96 undergraduate programs are housed. And then our 8th academic college is going to be our honors college. You do have to be admitted to NAU first to apply to the honors college separately. Their application is a little more holistic in nature. It's going to have a resume that you have to submit and 2 essay prompts on there. And they have a priority deadline of November 15th. So I recommend that you consider applying to NAU soon if you haven't, and then working on your honors application from that point there. Our 9th academic college is our graduate college, which houses different master's and doctoral level programs, and then also offers about 16 accelerated programs, which is where if you're majoring in a track that's offered on an accelerated path, you can get both your bachelor's and your master's degree in as little as 5 years. I also want to acknowledge that student success is important to us, and so we have some fantastic opportunities for you when it comes to free tutoring and mentoring support services across our campus as well. Tuition transparency is another thing that we always want to make sure that you have a full idea of understanding how much it could cost to attend our university. Currently, for Arizona residents, our tuition is set at $10,650 for this academic year. This could be subject to change still for the fall of 2022. The Arizona Board of Regents sets tuition every April, and we're just not quite to April just yet. But basically, you can take that tuition rate, add it up with those additional costs on the right-hand side to get that overall cost of attendance prior to any scholarships being applied or financial aid. I'm going to go ahead and talk about those financial options here. So at NAU, we have 5 main merit-based scholarships that we automatically consider students for when they apply to NAU. The next 5 scholarships that I'm going to talk about are unique for Arizona residents and are unique to students entering in the fall 2022. So please keep that in mind if you're a sophomore or junior on the phone looking to come at a later date than the fall 2022. This could be subject to change, so just check back in with us this summer before you start applying to colleges. We can let you know there. So for juniors, that would be next July that you'd want to check with us. But looking at this, we have those 5 main merit-based scholarships. Our top one is our Lumberjack Scholars Award. This is a full tuition scholarship. You have to have a 3.5 or higher unweighted core GPA. You cannot have a letter grade lower than a B in those 16 core classes that Patrick covered, and you cannot have any deficiencies in those 16 core classes there. So when you apply, again, we're automatically going to consider you for one of our 5 merit-based scholarships here, the Lumberjack Scholars Award being one of them. And then the remainder of our 4 merit-based scholarships are listed here. And so you can determine where your unweighted core GPA might fall, and then the particular amount that you might receive towards tuition only to help cover that. You're only ever eligible for one of these 5 merit-based scholarships, and you do have to accept your offer by May 1st of 2022 if you're offered one, in order to retain that scholarship moving forward there. So just keep that in mind. Take a quick picture of this if you would like, whatever works best for you. You're also welcome to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to share any of that information again with you or explain a little bit further our scholarship process overall. FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, you'll hear more about the FAFSA generally later tonight, but just know it opens this Friday, so that's exciting. It's coming fast. Really, the biggest thing on here that I want to point out is that at NAU, we have one of the earliest priority review dates in the country of you submitting the FAFSA to us by November 15th. So you do want to apply here soon if you haven't already to make sure you get that FAFSA to us with plenty of time there by that November 15th priority date in order for us to ensure you can qualify for the most amount of financial aid you're potentially eligible for there. So please work on that. Please let us know what questions you have about that. We also have additional scholarships you can apply for after you're admitted. And so you can find those on nau.edu/scholarships. These are fantastic opportunities though to help cover some additional costs, whether that's making up differences in tuition there or some of those books, supplies, meals, housing costs that might be associated. So these will open in November and then have varying deadlines that I would be glad to share with you, but just know those are additional opportunities. Once you are admitted, there are a series of next steps that you need to complete. I mentioned accepting your offer by May 1st to retain a merit-based scholarship. To accept your offer means paying a $250 enrollment deposit, which is step 1 on our next steps checklist here. From there, that unlocks access to additional steps like completing our housing application, if you're wanting to live on campus, filling out our priority enrollment form, which is how you'll get registered for classes eventually, all that good stuff. If you're admitted, you'll get this next steps checklist in that admissions letter, giving you more information. You can also reach out to me for more of those details too. Please visit any campus that you think you're interested in. It's just going to help you make, again, more informed decisions there. We are offering in-person campus visits at NAU. You can go to nau.edu/visit to access these opportunities there. We also have virtual opportunities which dive into this presentation in much more depth than what I'm able to right now, but still gives you a great idea of NAU. From that point there, sometimes our student ambassadors are able to be in there, answer some questions for you as well. So it gives you more of that full picture. So please visit any schools you think you're interested in. And then follow us on social media as well. Students will constantly do takeovers for social media accounts, so it just really lets you give more of that student perspective as you're deciding on, is this a good fit for me or not? So thank you all so much. And I just want to take a moment now to just talk a little bit on behalf of my colleague, Jacob Sarate, who's not here this evening, who works for Arizona State University. And so a few things that we wanted to make sure that you knew about. One is that we have some events coming up called Tri-University events. Maybe you've heard of them before, maybe not. Our next round of Tri-U events is going to be October 18th through 23rd, so please save that date for those events. We will be diving deeper into some financial aid information there for you, so really giving you some better pictures of things related to the FAFSA and financial information at each of our 3 state universities in Arizona there. And then ASU has several opportunities for virtual experiences on campus, and so please consider joining them for a virtual opportunity. You can go to visit.asu.edu to engage. You can see the different session topics that are available there. And so if you're interested in ASU, this is a great way to get connected there, have some time for those Q&A sessions with ASU as well. And then, of course, you can always reach out to Jacob, who is your ASU admissions representative. And so you can find Jacob's email address here on the screen and phone number. So please feel free to take that, jot that information down there for you, or even jot down Jacob's Calendly link, which is how you can set up a one-on-one appointment with Jacob if you would like to as well. So thank you all so much. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Patrick now.
All right, thank you, Amy. I will go ahead and share my screen. All right, I think I should be sharing my screen. So Amy, thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about the University of Arizona for you all here tonight. So the University of Arizona would like to first start off by respectfully acknowledging that the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of Indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being the home to the O'odham and the Yaqui. Committed to diversity and inclusion, the university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and Indigenous communities through education offerings, partnerships, and community service. And so with that, I always love to start these presentations with talking a little bit about what type of university you're applying to when you consider applying to the University of Arizona. We were actually the first university established in Arizona back in 1885, and ever since then we've grown quite a bit. We currently have a student body of about a little over 45,000 total students, with about 36,000 of those that are pursuing an undergraduate degree or a bachelor's degree, and about 10,000 of those pursuing a bachelor's degree such as a master's, a PhD, a doctorate, anything along those lines. We are consistently ranked in the top 10 public universities in the West Coast, top 100 universities in the nation. We're also what's known as a top 20 public research institution, which I'll get to the importance of that a little bit later. And then that representation matters at the University of Arizona. And we have all 50 states represented in our student body, which is always really fun. And I think over 60 countries as well. So we also are very proud to share that. Oops. Click the wrong button. There we go. Proud to share. Sorry, I'm not used to working on Teams. Proud to share that we have a 15-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And so love that idea of having still that intimate class setting while you're at the university pursuing your degree. You're not always going to be in massive lecture halls like you might be in some of your first classes in your first semester at the university. Now, we do have a ton of degree programs offered at the University of Arizona. We have over 250 at the moment, with over about 20 academic colleges in themselves. And so every university has a lot of the same degrees, but I would highly recommend going to arizona.edu/degree-search to view all the degree programs that we do offer, because we actually offer a few that I think are pretty unique. Not only to the state of Arizona, but to the United States as a whole. You can see we actually have a College of Agriculture and Life Sciences where you can study animal science or natural resource management. We also have a veterinary science program that will prepare you for all the prerequisites for going to veterinary school. We also have a wonderful college, our Eller College of Management is our business school. We have a College of Fine Arts that mimics the small liberal arts school style back in the East Coast. But we really have a ton of different degree programs that you can pursue. And I always like to share here too, the second most popular degree for incoming students is actually undecided, and that's totally okay. Now you might not be sure about what you want to pursue right now in your senior year of high school. We actually have a resource called the ACE Center, which you'll see here is actually a listed college that has academic advisors hired specifically to help with our students who are undecided, and they help you browse majors and courses and see what you're really interested in. So it's totally okay to come in undecided, because we want to be there to help you. Now, at the University of Arizona, we don't just want to graduate you with a degree, but we want to graduate you with a skill set. Our president always loves this saying of that we want to prepare our students for the next generation of work and jobs that don't even exist yet. Which I think is a really cool idea, because it's not just about getting that diploma and that degree, it is about developing that skill set. And one of the ways that we do that is by being one of those tier 1 research institutions. And so what that means is that our professors who are paid to teach you the material are also paid to do active research in their field. So you're not just getting professors who might have been at the top of their field 10 to 20 years ago. You're getting professors who are still doing active work, and that pays off for you as a student, because you actually then have an opportunity to participate as an undergraduate student in research while you're getting your bachelor's degree, which is really cool. About 70% of our students report doing some sort of either undergraduate research or internship during their time at the University of Arizona. And it's in those moments where you really develop those hands-on skills that potential employers or graduate schools are going to be looking for. And so we really want to support you when you're here at the University of Arizona. So as I mentioned, here are a few resources that we offer. So we have the ACE Center, like I mentioned earlier. We also have what we call CAPS, our Counseling and Psych Services, because we want to make sure that you're in a healthy mental state as well, because mental health is huge. We have our brand new, it's not brand new, our free tutoring service called Think Tank. We have our award-winning SALT Center, which stands for the Strategic Alternative Learning Technique Center. So essentially that means if you need some additional help or maybe have some attention difficulties or challenges, the SALT Center is an incredible resource to provide additional support for you as a student. We also have what's called First Cats, which is a great organization that works with our students who are a first-generation college student. So maybe you're going to be the first person in your family to ever go to college. First Cats is a great resource to provide some support during your time at the University of Arizona. And then starting this upcoming year, our brand new Student Success District is near completion and is going to centralize health, wellness, and advising all in the middle of campus. We like to say we have about 1 square mile of awesome here in Tucson. And so we're really excited for you to imagine yourself here and picture yourself on campus. Our campus is right within that 1 square mile, so everything you need is right there. So if you've never been to Tucson before, we have a little map. We're the very large star in that state of Arizona. And Tucson is great. We're the second largest city in Arizona, and we like to think that we're the college town of your dreams. Because the university was established back in 1885, Tucson kind of grew around the university, and it's one of the best college towns in the United States. We're also been named one of the top 20 most inclusive cities in the nation, and you can explore Tucson by bike, streetcar, or on foot, or you can obviously bring your own vehicle down if you'd like. We do have about 300 plus days of sunshine per year and an average high temperature of about 83 degrees. So we're a little bit cooler than Phoenix, where I'm located at as well. So you can kind of tone down the heat without getting too cold, which is always nice. If you've never explored around Tucson, there is so much to do. Let me tell you, we have mountain biking, hiking trails, Mount Lemmon, Sabino Canyon, and Saguaro National Park are all nearby. And then up north is just a quick road trip away, whether it's the Grand Canyon, Monument Valley, Sedona, or Antelope Canyon. So lots of things to explore within Tucson itself. We really like to think that one of the perks of being a University of Arizona student is getting to participate in our school spirit. You know, we love to say you look great in red and blue because we're really all about that Wildcat life. And like Amy mentioned, one of the best things you can do as a student, no matter what university you're involved in or you're attending, is to get involved. So we do have over 600 different clubs and organizations that you can get involved with at the University of Arizona. And 70% of our students are actively involved on campus in some way, whether that's joining the Associated Students of the UA or maybe attending club fairs or concerts or special events, maybe getting a free movie at Gallagher Theater, or hanging out at our Spring Fling, which we're hoping comes back this next spring, which is the nation's largest student-run carnival, and it happens right in the heart of campus. So I would highly encourage you, get connected, get involved, and maybe one of those ways is through sports, right? So we are a member of the Pac-12 and our Division I team. So if you are a individual who really wants that big school environment that's going to go to the football games and basketball games and softball games and cheer on our student athletes, you'd love the Zona Zoo. We love to say that we are the largest fan section in the Pac-12. Football this year has not been our best, and that's okay. We're in a rebuilding year, but our basketball teams are pretty incredible, especially our women's basketball team. We actually lost in the NCAA finals this last year. So if you love a school that's about sports and cheering on their student athletes, you'll love the environment at the University of Arizona because we're all about that bear down attitude, which is giving it our all and doing everything we can. And it's kind of our rallying cry. If you're on campus, you'll hear it a ton, or even around Tucson, which is really nice. Now, for those students who are thinking of, you're saying, Patrick, man, Tucson sounds great, but like, I'm from Phoenix, where am I going to live? We have dorms. So we have right about 23 dorms, and we have about 7,000 students who are living on dorms. We do highly recommend that you live on campus your first year, but it is not required. We do want to support you in whatever is going to be best for you in your situation. But statistically, studies have shown that students who do live on campus tend to have a higher GPA than those who live off campus. So just something to think about. And it kind of makes sense because when you're living on campus, you are right next to all the resources that you need that are going to support you while you're at the University of Arizona. And so one of the biggest factors in making a college choice, I understand, is cost, right? What is it going to cost me? How much is this going to be? And one thing that I love the University of Arizona does is that we have what's called a 4-year guaranteed tuition plan. Essentially what this means is that the semester that you enter the university and you begin taking courses, your tuition and mandatory fee rate will be locked in for your next 4 years or 8 consecutive semesters. So that way, you know, you can budget each year and know exactly what you're going to be spending in tuition costs. And so we'll get to a little bit later about what are some ways we can help fund that. And we'll talk a little bit about FAFSA tonight too, as that opens up on October 1st, which is incredibly fun. But we want you to be able to learn more and worry less. So when that FAFSA does open, our priority deadline is March 1st. So that just means submitting your FAFSA and adding the University of Arizona school code on your FAFSA, because that could potentially get you eligible for our Pell Pledge grant or university grants. And grants are essentially free money you don't have to pay back compared to loans. And then we also have some other tuition awards that are scholarships to help pay for your cost of tuition. And so with that, with your application to the University of Arizona, you will be automatically reviewed for one of our Wildcat Awards. So that middle column, our resident Wildcat Awards, is for our Arizona residents. Ignore the far right column because that's for our students who are coming from out of state. So based on your 6th semester unweighted core GPA, this is the type of scholarship money you could be receiving. So anywhere from $750 per year to $12,500, and all these scholarships are renewable for your next 4 years. Now, these aren't the only scholarships that you could potentially receive, as once you're officially admitted to the University of Arizona, you can go to scholarshipuniverse.arizona.edu and begin applying for additional scholarships that you can receive on top of your resident Wildcat Award. So lots of opportunities on top of the FAFSA to get some nice funding for your education. With that, as we kind of already mentioned, if you're thinking about applying, you can go to arizona.edu/apply. And once you submit your application, you can also submit an application to the Honors College, which we're super happy about. So maybe if you've taken some honors or AP courses during your high school time and you really want that honors, like that higher level of course rigor, I would highly recommend applying to the Honors College with all 3 of our universities. And for the University of Arizona, how you would go about joining the Honors College is submitting first your admissions application, which Amy and I have talked about earlier tonight. Then you'll want to complete a separate online honors application that will also include a mandatory personal statement, an activities resume, and then a recommendation from a teacher or counselor. Now, our Honors College is test blind for fall 2022, and we do have a early priority deadline of November 15th, and that guarantees you a decision by December 15th. However, if you want to take your time and really build out your Honors College application, the final deadline is February 15th, so you do have plenty of time. And then finally, I would say this again applies to every university, but try and visit. You know, we all have virtual options that you can take virtual campus tours, or if you're able to come down to campus, we are also offering in-person tours at the University of Arizona as well. You do have to register first, so go to arizona.edu/visit to register for one of our in-person tours, and then give us a follow on our UAZ admissions on Instagram, or check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/Arizona. And with that, that's all I have for tonight. So again, here is the contact information for our Tempe Unified School District admissions rep, Kyle Fisher. He is wonderful. Feel free to take a little screenshot of this page on your phone, and always feel free to reach out to Kyle. He is more than happy to help answer any questions that you may have. So with that, I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I believe pass it back over to Adrian.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate your presentation, and thank you as well, Amy. Next, we're going to have Isaac from Mesa Community College, who's going to be talking about Maricopa Community College District. So, Isaac, you are welcome to share your screen at this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adrian. Are you able to hear me well?
Yep, we hear you, and
Awesome.
we see your screen there.
Cool. Let me hit presentation here. So everyone, like Adrian said, my name is Isaac Garcia. I am an outreach specialist for Mesa Community College. So you might be asking, why is Mesa Community College here to talk about Maricopa, right? So one thing to keep in mind is that although I am representing Mesa Community College, we are under the umbrella of One Maricopa. So as you see down here, we have the different logos on the bottom of my screen of all the colleges that are under that umbrella of Maricopa Community Colleges. So whether it is Mesa Community College that you're keeping in mind, if you're thinking about going to Chandler Gilbert Community College, Scottsdale Community College, South Mantle Community College. We're all sister schools, so we share the exact same database, same system, same software, same everything. So that means that your student profile at MCC will be your same student profile at Chandler Gilbert, will be your same student profile over at Scottsdale. Now, why would you go to one school over another, right? For example, if you're really into culinary and you want to study how to be a chef and work at a restaurant and own your own business like that, you can go to Scottsdale Community College because they are very well known for their culinary program. If you're thinking about nursing, I would say keep Mesa Community College in mind because we have one of the best nursing programs. We have really good partnerships with Banner Health Hospital. So depending on what major you want to go to, what field of interest you're thinking of studying, that kind of guides what college you would kind of pick and choose. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the 4 easy steps on how to enroll to all those colleges. If you see here on the screen, it's really easy, 1, 2, 3, 4. But before I start going on those, let me just mention some important dates. October 1st, I know that's been really hammered in tonight. FAFSA will open, so make sure you have all your documents ready and set to go. But I think that's going to be our next presentation here. And open enrollment will open for us for all the 10 Maricopa Community Colleges. It will open on March 21st, excuse me. So make sure as soon as you start getting your end of the school year stuff ready, before March 21st, you want to make sure you have your transcripts ready and you want to have these 4 steps already taken care of. Let me exit this and I want to actually show you what the Maricopa page looks like. They made it really easy for us. They broke it down, the 4 steps that we need to go through all in one page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the chat and maybe hopefully we can get it shared on later so that whenever you guys are at home trying to go through it, you are able to walk yourself through the process. It's really, really simple. I just put it on the chat there. Maybe Adrian can put it on everyone else for us to show there. So starting with step number 1, getting admitted. We are what we call an open enrollment colleges. So all 10 colleges are open enrollment. That means all you need to be a student with us is wanting to further your education and submitting your application that we're going through here. When you click on apply for admission, it will ask you, hey, are you a new student with us? Are you a returning student? So have you taken some time off and are you returning back? Or do you have some dual enrollment classes? I know some of you may already have some dual enrollment with EVID or through your high school with ACE or Hoopa Learning. Those credits will transfer with you when you enter the community college. You just have to let us know when you're graduating, thinking of applying. You're going to go through this 3rd step here. Going back 1 page. Part of that 1st step of getting admitted is submitting your government ID. So like Arizona State ID, Arizona State license, anything like that. That's mainly for 2 things, right? It kind of prevents identity theft and just make sure that you are who you are because everything is online now. We want to make sure that the person clicking submit is the actual person that's going to be showing up to classes. So just make sure those do go hand in hand. So make sure you submit your application and you have to submit your ID as well. After you go through that process, you will be ready for determining your placement. Now there's different ways you can go about this and we don't require placement as an entrance or you don't have to have a certain GPA or a certain SAT T-score, ACT. As long as you want to take classes, we will find a class to place you in. The reason we do this is we don't want to see you take classes that are too easy because yeah, you might be acing all your classes and you might be doing really well, but then you might be spending a lot of time and money that you don't need in classes and things like that. And the opposite of that, if you take classes that are too hard for you, you might not be doing very well. Your GPA is going to suffer. Scholarship opportunities might decline, things like that. So the only reason why we require you to do placement tests in open enrollment colleges is just so you start with the right foot in front of you. You can do this different ways. You can either submit your high school GPA with your official transcript. We will be able to see where you place in those. If you already have your SATs or ACT scores, because I know most of you have already applied to the universities, and that's great. I'm sure it goes well, and you get that congratulations letter that you get in. But just keep us in mind as well. If you have your SAT scores or ACT scores already ready, and you're thinking about joining a Maricopa Community College, we can use those to place you into one of our curriculum classes. You can also come down and take what we call the AccuPlacer test, which is an entrance exam. Again, it goes through English, reading, and math. Very simple, no time limit. As soon as you finish that test, you get your scores and you're ready to place into classes. That kind of takes us to the very 3rd step here. it is imperative that you do meet with your academic advisor. I know I couldn't have done it through my academic career of joining the community college and transferring out to the university if I didn't have that guidance of someone teaching me the path and walking me through the process. So make sure you set up an advisement meeting with your academic advisor. Something that I tell students as well is if you already have a goal of transferring out to either NAU, U of A, and ASU, we have academic advisors that are actually homed at MCC or most of the community colleges that you can meet with them and they can walk you instead of just the 2 years that you're going to be at a Maricopa Community College. They can see that whole big picture and help you transfer seamlessly over to the university. Part of the academics advisor's jobs is to make sure you have your college classes all set up. They can walk you through the different pathways that you can take. Something to keep in mind is something that I like to tell all your academic advisors. If you're not already meeting with an ASU, NAU, or U of A academic advisor, make sure you ask them about those transfer pathways that we have. For example, I'll use my example. I went to MCC, I did my 2 years there, and I knew I wanted to finish my degree over at ASU. So I took on a transfer pathway, what they call, and what those do is they take everything that you do at the community college, transfers it seamlessly over to the university so that you're not taking any classes you don't need or you're not taking any laboratories that are not going to apply when you reach over to the university. So again, that's part of the academic advisor. They're able to go through those pathways with you, help you file all those paperwork, all those contracts that you need to enter into those career pathways. So make sure you keep that in mind. After you meet with the academic advisor, we have a new student orientation. So every student that comes into Maricopa is required to take a new student orientation class. We call it quote unquote class, but more than anything, they kind of teach you how to go through your student center, where to find the resources. It's more like a college 101 basics, just to kind of hit the ground running and get you set up for your first day of class. Before that first day of class, you want to make sure we touch here on step 4, which is paying your tuition and fees. A lot of students get overwhelmed making sure they have all their scholarships set up and everything finished, but if you start early, you won't be rushing towards the end. So make sure you apply to all the scholarships you need to, make sure you apply for the FAFSA and make sure you get that all taken care of. There are different venues. You can also get different grants. There's work study. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later. So it's really easy. As soon as you finish step number 4, you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to wait for the first day of class. Another thing I want to show you real quick, this is just to change topics. This is the Maricopa page, just to go through the 4 steps. Now I want to show you the MCC page on how to get in contact with me. So like I said, I do work for Mesa Community College, but if you get my contact info here and you have questions about Chandler Gilbert or Scottsdale, please feel free to reach out. I will be more than happy to guide you over to the right contact or the right person over to the right college. I'm going to leave this here for a second so you can see my contact information. Feel free to call me or text me at any time. I'm always available for students, parents. Happy to answer any questions. I want to do a little plug as well. We have some events coming up. If we go to our calendar events, we have an event called Girls Get IT. The Girls Get IT program is it puts emphasis on the girls who want to enter into the IT world. So computer science, software engineering, things like that. That will be coming up on November 19th. So you will be able to find it here on our calendar and you are able to register for it. October, November, there you go, 19, Girls Get IT. You should be able to get it from here and go ahead and register. Again, let me put up my contact information. Let's see, find my recruiter. Again, once more, my name is Isaac Garcia. I am an outreach specialist here with Mesa Community College, but I would be happy to walk you through any of the 4 steps of registration for the Maricopa colleges. And I hope to be in contact with all of you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And we were able to get your the link you dropped in the chat. We got it
Awesome.
Posted up for the students there. So you're all set. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
And last but not least, we're going to have Alex speak about things to keep in mind as the FAFSA opens up just around the corner there. All right, Alex, so you are welcome to share your screen.
Sure thing. Let's see here.
Perfect, we see it.
All right, perfect. So you see my slides there?
Yep, you are all good to go.
Well, thank you all for coming. My name is Alex Sager, and I work with Access ASU, a group here at ASU that really works with our K through 12 and that transition, and college readiness kind of factors to consider before you get to college. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about our Fafsa overview and getting started. And our agenda would include what exactly is the Fafsa, what items do I need in order to prepare for the Fafsa, creating an FSA ID, and then some upcoming Fafsa workshops that we'd highly encourage you to participate in and come hang out with us at. So, big question, what is the Fafsa? We keep hearing this word, we're probably seeing it in our schools, our counselors are talking to us about it. Well, the Fafsa is, it's a great resource, right? The first thing there is that it is the free application for federal student aid. I'm going to highlight the word free a lot throughout this as it's an important factor to consider, but essentially it's providing over 120 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds each year for our students that are entering higher education, be it a university or a community college or wherever you may be looking at. We'll go into those different types of monies here in a bit. But what is the Fafsa? Again, the free application for federal student aid. It opens October 1st, and basically it is a form that you're going through. You're considering bringing along some documents that I'll go through here in a little bit. It's determining the eligibility for different grants, loans, and work study that you'd then hopefully be awarded to and then be able to apply to that institution. Now, each of our institutions provides their own federal financial aid award and the opportunity to apply each year. There's an opportunity for you to apply each year you're enrolled in the institution. So for many of us, we're just starting college and this might be the first time that we're doing Fafsa. We'll want to consider this every year as it's something you're going to continue to have to do, if it is financial aid that you're considering. So as I mentioned, there's a couple different ways that you can be awarded, a couple different things that you can use toward your education. The first one there being our free gift aid you do not have to pay back, which would include your scholarships and your grants. The other kind would be loans, or one of the other kinds would be loans, which is money you have to pay back at some point. So we highly encourage that you consider the school that you're attending, the tuition, all of those costs, and the amount of money that they are offering to loan you, and really only taking how much you really need into account. And then there's also the middle one there, which is federal work study and on-campus jobs. I know when I was in college, I took advantage of that and really found lots of opportunities to be able to work and utilize that money toward my education throughout my entire 4 years as a student. So there's a video here. I'll link it in the chat if you want to watch that on your own time, since we're doing the presentations right now. It's super helpful. I'm talking about just some Fafsa overview information. So I highly encourage you to check that out. So what is it that I actually need to complete my Fafsa? Again, that free application for federal student aid. Well, you'll want to create first your FSA ID, and we'll walk through what that looks like here in just a moment. If you don't already have it memorized or have it handy somewhere, you want to dig up your social security number, your driver's license or a state issued ID, 2020 tax record. So we're looking forward toward our education, but we're looking back for some forms relating to the taxes. So just be sure to dig that up out of the drawer or safe wherever you might be keeping that information. And then records of your untaxed incomes. And then of course, all the schools that you are interested in attending. You want to make sure to have that information written down somewhere. Something I shared in one of my other presentations is that it's super important to keep track of all the different steps that you are at, all the different schools that you're looking at, the scholarships that you're wanting to apply for, and kind of the status of where you are with the different steps. And also all the different contacts, programs like tonight that can be available to you to support should you have any questions at any time. So a little deeper in here, what do I need to complete my Fafsa? The tax year information required for the 2022-2023 Fafsa will be the 2020 tax year. Lots of numbers in there, but just look at your tax information from the previous year, and that'll help you get prepared to have the documents ready for when you complete the Fafsa here, hopefully starting Friday when it opens up. We want to be doing these things actively and early as possible, so just put that on your calendars. You can submit your application, you can check its status, and make corrections at fafsa.gov. That .gov is super important. You want to go into that site as it gives you access to the free application here. You might search another website, which might give you an opportunity to pay someone to complete that, or there might be fees on that. But rest assured that if you go to the fafsa.gov one, make sure that you're going to the free one. It's the exact same form and one that we all highly recommend that you take. A submitted, corrected, or not yet processed application could take up to 3 to 5 days to process, and then an additional business day to be made available to the schools for eligibility consideration. So basically, what that is saying is that when you submit your FAFSA, if you're making corrections to it, there's a couple days to be able to process that. So what I'll share in a little bit is a form so you can kind of practice or put the valuable information down so that you type that all in the FAFSA correctly the first time, giving you just kind of that more of a head start and getting that information back from the schools that you put that you are interested in. To get the best experience, make sure your browser's web pop-up blocker allows pop-ups from fafsa.ed.gov before logging into the FAFSA. And I've got the link down there. So again, just setting yourself up for success. That's a little thing little quick click you can take to ensure that you're getting all the information that you need from fafsa.gov. Another big tip, you can use a sheet of paper or a safe place to write down following information. For me, I put that right there in my phone. But as you're getting started, your FSA ID username, password, and then the save key is something you'll want to have readily available. We're all on our social media all the time, so we know our logins, but the FAFSA is going to be new, so you want to make sure to have that handy. So if you end up at like a FAFSA workshop, you're not looking for where that login information might be or having to reset a password or resubmit an email. Having it handy really speeds up the process for you. So the Fsa Id account, a little acronym there, is super key in that it's basically your login to get started with the FAFSA. It's also going to be a key piece in you signing the FAFSA at the end. So it's kind of the front door and the back door of this FAFSA process. As I mentioned, it is what you use to electronically sign your FAFSA. In order to create this ID, you'll need your social security number and your own mobile phone number and email address. So I'm going to show some screenshots about kind of what you can expect to see when you go through the FAFSA. But one thing to consider is that email address, right? So most of us, or a lot of us, might be in high school right now, but when you leave that high school, you want to make sure that you are considering having another email address that you'll continue to have access to throughout your entire college career, probably just for the future too, leaving high school behind you. So this is the first page you'll see when you go to the FSA ID. When you're setting that up, you'll see two different tabs there of creating an FSA ID and then managing an FSA ID. If you're new to this, you would of course be creating it, putting in a username and a password, and then as always, confirming that password. Some real familiar information as you go through the form. You'll see the little number thing there on the top, showing you left to right from 1 to 5, giving you that information about the status of where you're at in this particular step, which is the FSA ID step. But yeah, familiar information, first name, middle initial, if you have that, last name, date of birth, and then again, that social security number. So at some point, if you haven't had it memorized, I'm sure by typing it in this many times, you will have memorized it. And then contact information, again, that email being the top one on there. Make sure that it's an email that you have access to in the future, as this, again, is something you're going to continue to do from your entire college career. It's not just a one and done thing. You're doing it right now. You'll do it next time, the same time next year as well. Your mobile phone number, alternative phone, your mailing address, and then your preferred language. So there it lists English and Spanish. And these challenge questions, something familiar too, if you've signed up online anywhere else, would help you to then recover your lost username or or password if you don't have that information in the future. But again, try to have something handy, a piece of paper or a phone, so you can have that information readily available. So once you complete your FSA ID, you are ready to begin your FAFSA. And the one you're wanting to complete is the 2022-2023 Fafsa Form. So this is what the page looks like here. Pretty user-friendly in that it asks you if you're new to the FAFSA process or a returning user. So just click on the one that is appropriate to you. A lot of us will be using that top one there. And then in our second year, going to the returning one. So in order to complete the Fafsa form, you'll see a number of different prompts in here. You'll want to complete it if you are the student. So you click on the left side or the right side if you are a parent, preparer, or student from a freely associated state. And then it's pretty consistent throughout the entirety of the form, clicking next at the bottom right. So again, that FSA ID is super valuable. This is where you'll type in that information that you will have just created. Again, more familiar information, first name, last name, and that social security number again. I keep bringing that up because I know when I was a senior in high school, I did not have that number memorized. I also did not have a smartphone back then. So just make sure to have that information readily available. Lots of tools and workshops available for you on relating to the Fafsa, and we'll list some of these here. But earlier I mentioned kind of a draft or a practice sheet. You know, you can preview the questions on the Fafsa so you can be prepared to bring that information with you. If you're doing this at home, that's great. Maybe your parents or whoever has the tax information from 2020 are right in the kitchen, eating dinner or something. But maybe you end up at a Fafsa workshop at your school. This sheet and filling this out can help you to have that information ready. You can discuss that with your family members or whoever might be involved in your process. And then it creates a one-page go-to you can kind of keep handy. Amy mentioned earlier some of our tri-university events. I want to continue to press this. You know, one of the ones that we list here is visit.asu.edu/tri-university. We host a lot of different virtual workshops, and we've actually got one coming up in October that we'd love to see you at. And the date would be October 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. And the registration can be shared out. I think Adrian's going to be sending that out here pretty soon. A student checklist. So again, as I mentioned earlier, having a good idea of kind of where you are with certain steps and kind of what your goals are and who you're connecting with is super important. So what some things you can do is are all listed here on this checklist, but you can work hard all the way to graduation. Second semester grades can affect scholarship eligibility. You want to stay involved in after school activities and seek leadership roles if possible. Again, really lending to what those applications might include, depending on what schools you might apply for or scholarships you might be looking at. They would be interested in things like after school activities and leadership roles, your grades, and the different courses that you're taking, as we've talked about tonight. To do in the fall, which is right now, you'll want to, as actively and as soon as possible, around October 1, complete your Fafsa, as we've talked about. And after you submit the Fafsa form, be sure that you received your student aid report within three days to 3 weeks. So you can check that out with your different institutions that you apply for. If you haven't done so already, register for and take standardized tests required for college admissions. Our friends here at the various universities have talked about what requirements they have relating to those items. So just be sure to think about that, regardless of wherever you're applying to. Apply to the colleges that you've kind of chosen, the ones that you're interested in. And then well before your college application deadlines, ask your counselors and your teachers to submit required documents. So how do you get your transcripts? How do you get letters of recommendations for scholarships, if that's something that is applicable to those scholarships or schools you're applying to? Complete any last scholarship applications and understand the Fafsa process better by watching videos on the Fafsa website. So that's the fall, and then we move into the spring. Visiting colleges that you're interested in applying to, or ones that you enroll in, is super important. I know our friends here have posted some of the virtual opportunities and then invited you to some of the on-campus opportunities to be able to see campus. I think it's such a special experience and one that you should all take advantage of should you have that opportunity. You want to review your college acceptances and compare different financial aid offers. So earlier I mentioned, there's grants and there's scholarships and there's loans. Really consider all the tuitions for each of those schools, kind of what you're able to contribute and what financial aid offers are kind of sitting on your table for you to consider. Contact the school's financial aid office if you have any questions about the aid that the school has offered you. Make sure that you will understand that very clearly. You can, of course, ask any of us. I know we've all, the contacts for the different universities here and community colleges here tonight, they've all shared their contact information, so I'll invite you to save those as well. And when you decide on what school you want to attend, notify that school of your commitment and submit any required financial deposits. So I am not Jacob, but Jacob is a good resource for you. I'll put my contact information in the chat along with the link to that video. But he's fantastic. He works with ASU admissions, so be sure to screenshot that or take a picture or just memorize his number if you like.